Marybeth Raye had always known she was different. Since childhood, she had seen things others couldn't, shadows flickering just beyond her vision, whispers in the dark, voices calling her name when no one was around. At first, her parents chalked it up to a vivid imagination, but as she grew older, Marybeth realized the truth. She was a medium, born with the ability to communicate with the dead. By her late 20s, Marybeth had embraced her gift and opened a small office. People came to her with stories of loved ones lost too soon, their spirits trapped between worlds. Most of the time, it was fulfilling work, providing closure for the living and peace for the dead. But not all spirits were as benign. The moment Thomas Harlow walked into her office, Marybeth knew something was different. He spoke about his death, an accident on a rainy night that had left his body torn and broken. But there was an unsettling calmness in his voice. When she reached out to connect with his spirit, she was engulfed by an unnatural chill. His presence felt solid, like a living being standing right next to her. His energy was thick, oppressive, unlike any spirit she had encountered before. "Marybeth," he whispered, his voice sending a shiver down her spine. "There's more to me than you know." She tried to focus, but the connection was suffocating. Her pulse quickened, and just as suddenly as it had begun, the link was severed. Thomas left without another word, but the unease lingered in the room long after his departure. That night, the whispers began. At first, they were faint, just a breath on the wind. "Marybeth?" But as the days passed, the whispers grew louder, more persistent. The shadows in her apartment stretched unnaturally, objects moved on their own, and the air grew colder. It was as though Thomas wasn't just haunting her, he was learning her, feeding off her fear and growing stronger with each passing moment. Marybeth began to feel his presence all the time. His voice, once distant, now echoed in her thoughts. The nightmares followed, more vivid with each night. In her dreams, Thomas was no longer the detached spirit she had met in her office. His eyes glowed with an eerie, unnatural light, his smile twisted and cold. He was changing, becoming something more. Desperate to sever the connection, Marybeth searched for answers. She uncovered a journal belonging to her grandmother, a fellow medium who had once warned of spirits like Thomas, those that fed off a medium's energy, growing stronger with each contact. Spirits like him didn't seek peace, they sought power. The journal revealed a dark secret about Thomas Harlow. He hadn't died in a car accident as he had claimed. No, Thomas had been a notorious figure long before his death. In life, he had been a man driven by cruelty and greed, known for his violent acts and manipulation. He had used his charm and charisma to manipulate others, drawing people in with promises of success, only to feed off their weaknesses and control them. His dark influence had spread far, and his victims were left broken, emotionally, spiritually, and, in some cases, physically. But the journal held a deeper connection. Marybeth's grandmother had encountered Thomas long before his death. In fact, she had been one of his victims, a woman who, at the time, had been a young and impressionable medium herself. Thomas had been drawn to her gift, using it to fuel his own insidious ambitions. Her grandmother had narrowly escaped him, but it came at a cost. Her powers had been weakened, and she had sworn to never work with spirits like him again. She had hidden away her abilities, warning Marybeth to stay away from dark spirits, especially those who could learn and feed off a medium's power. As Marybeth read the journal, the pieces fell into place. Thomas wasn't just haunting her, he was trying to use her, just as he had used her grandmother all those years ago. He was feeding off her energy, learning from her, and growing stronger by the day. And now she understood why her grandmother had gone to such lengths to protect her from this evil. In a final act of defiance, Marybeth decided to confront Thomas, to sever the link once and for all. She performed a ritual, one that her grandmother had used to banish dark spirits. But as she prepared to complete the incantation, the room plunged into darkness. Her phone flickered to life, casting a pale light across the room. In the reflection, she saw Thomas's face, no longer just his face, but a twisted version of it. His eyes glowed black, hollow, and lifeless. "Thank you, Marybeth," he whispered, but it was no longer his voice. It was something darker, something more terrifying. "You've made me stronger." Marybeth's heart raced as the shadows in the room thickened. The air grew colder still, and the walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The whispers became louder, now not just in her mind, but outside her head, filling the room with an almost physical presence. She wasn't just being haunted anymore, she was losing herself to him. But then a memory surged in her mind, her grandmother's voice clear as day. "Some spirits are not meant to be freed, Marybeth. They're not just lost souls. They're predators, and they learn from us." The realization hit her like a physical blow. Thomas wasn't just trying to take over her life. He was trying to take her power, to use her as a vessel to escape the confines of the afterlife. And once he had all that, he would be unstoppable. With a final, desperate effort, Marybeth completed the ritual, pushing every ounce of her remaining strength into the incantation. The shadows screamed, the whispers rose to a deafening crescendo, but Marybeth held firm. With one last breath, she spoke the final words of the incantation. The room erupted in light, a brilliant, searing flash that seemed to blind her. And then, as quickly as it had all begun, it was gone. The shadows receded, and the oppressive weight in the air lifted. Thomas's presence was gone. For the first time in days, the room felt still. But the victory came at a cost. Marybeth stood there, trembling, her mind reeling from the intensity of the battle. She had severed the connection, but she knew that Thomas's influence had left its mark on her. Her grandmother had been right. Some spirits were not just lost souls, they were predators, feeding off the living, learning from them, and using their energy to escape the confines of death. As Marybeth stood alone in the now silent room, she understood the full extent of the danger she had faced. She wasn't just a medium, she was a target. And the only way to protect herself now was to never let her guard down again. The spirits that lingered in the shadows were learning, just as Thomas had. And the next time it might not be so easy to send them back. Her grandmother had warned her, and now Marybeth knew the truth. Some ghosts were never meant to be set free.
When the night gets bright and the stars align, we stir up dreams in cosmic time. A little stardust, a little tune, you're mixing it with